What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It is game 3. They are coming back home. A little home cooking. Don't have to worry about the stinking New York refs or the scumbag New York fans. We are ready. It is basically do or die tonight, and I expect this to literally be a blowout. I'm going back and forth on it. And I don't even have a big handicap on it. I'm not even going to break it down. I think between that crowd, that song, and just the motivation, they're going to be home and they're going to blow them out, and we'll get ready for Sunday, and we'll deal with tying this series up and then going back to NYC on Sunday. But Joe needs to go out now. He threw his cards on the table. And now it's time for him to do his thing. The extra day of rest, I think, is going to help all of them. And then there is some good news on the horizon for the bench. D'Anthony Melton is listed as questionable, but it's all signs are pointing to him playing. I just think it's the perfect storm. I think with everything that has gone on and everything that has transpired, home cooking, they're going to be playing the song. Not sure who's going to ring the bell yet. They may have announced it last night, but I saw it somewhere that Jay Wright should ring the bell. Are you freaking kidding me? No way Jay Wright should ring the bell. Not with all the stinking Villanova players on the Knicks. Get like Kelsey or Cox or one of those guys down there to do it. Or hell, bring Bryce out with his newborn. Let him ring it. I mean, AI. I mean, bring them all out. Let's go. Dr. J. Like, get a Wilt Chamberlain hologram. Let him do it. Moses Malone hologram. Let them ring the bell. But again, nothing fancy. Nothing that it's going to make any sense. Straight homer pick, but I really don't see them losing this game. And I look at them literally blowing them out. This might be one of those games where Joe's on the bench in the third quarter. The crowd is going to be out of control. So there you go. It's Sixers time. And for my money, that song is way better than Fly Eagles Fly. But we'll get into that another time over the summer. All right, so all that being said, it is game 3. Let's start, as we always do, with a recap of yesterday's question of the day, because it is also night 1 of the NFL draft. And I asked you, what is the biggest need heading into today for the Eagles? And everybody was all over the board. And I guess it makes sense. 38% of you thought it was a linebacker. 25% thought O-line and DB. I mean, there it is. I mean, I guess this is a good position to be in going into a draft, because there's just there's no set like, oh my God, we need a quarterback or we need this. One thing I do think, and I saw like this gaining some traction, no way should they trade up for a wide receiver. That would just be ridiculous. I think the only offensive position you target in the first round tonight would be O-line. And even then, this is a deeper draft. Like, if you see a guy, and Howie has a plan. He always does. And he has plan A, B, C, all the way through triple Z. So he's going to be watching the board closely. He's making calls. But I still would not be surprised if it's a player that somehow he ends up with. Somehow replaces some picks for tomorrow. But he said if they see a guy that they want and they think they can get, they're going to go after him. So always fun with Howie. You never know what to expect. But one thing I don't want is a receiver in the first round. Like, that, to me, makes absolutely no sense. But tomorrow we're going to have a big day updating the Sixers' big blowout win, as well as the Eagles' first round. But that leads us to today's question of the day. What's your prediction for Sixers-Knicks game 3? I'm telling you, a blowout, 10-plus points. That's my prediction. I think it's just going to be a cruise control. I think they're not going to let up. I think you give Nick Nurse an extra day to make the adjustments. We're going to be good. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. What are we thinking about game 3? Give me your draft thoughts as well. 267-495-8531. Get you in. Be sure to hit me up on social media. Jimbo_Mott at TikTok and Twitter, as well as at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mott. Tell your friends, tell your grandmother, tell your neighbors, tell everybody. let's go. Let's grow this thing. We've been having some fun. Let's continue to do it. I got some big things lined up over the next few months. So let's spread the word and let's start this grassroots movement. All the information you need for the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony is in the description. The nominee or the inductees, as well as ticket information. If you are interested in being a sponsor or have something to donate for the auctions, hit me up. Let me know. They do not have to be sports related. They can be experience. If you have a restaurant or a massage parlor or whatever, let me know. If you do insurance, anything like that, a free health screen, like if you own a gym, a couple free passes to, or if you know anybody who has anything like that, hit them up. Let us know. But this is going to be a big one. So all the information you need is in the description. And honestly, to get ready for the NFL draft, I haven't talked about the Eagles stuff yet, but go to phillygoat.com. They have a ton of Eagles gear, from hats, jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, pants, shoes, you name it, you got it. The Reggies are my next canvas loafer purchase. So go check them out. Get a fly hoodie with the Reggie loafers, and you'll be good to go. That's phillygoat.com. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off. That promo code helps us out, shows me that you're listening, and allows us to grow. So go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Get geared up for the Eagles season. It is draft weekend. Some college hoops news, which hopefully this means something and it's not too little too late or another stepping stone. But Lynn Greer III did, in fact, finally sign with Temple and is playing with his dad, who's on the coaching staff there. I don't know. And again, I've talked so much about the troubles and struggles of Temple basketball that 3-4 years ago, I would have been ecstatic at this move. Now it's just kind of like a, great. So we'll see. I mean, it's just, maybe we'll do more on the state of college sports this summer, but I'm excited. Lynn Greer was always one of my favorites, and his son is now coming home to Temple to play for him after leaving St. Joe's. But okay. All right. The Phillies, they have now lost 2 straight. They're streaking in the wrong direction after losing 7-4 yesterday. Sir Anthony Dominguez was just not good. The funniest thing I saw on Twitter was a guy I follow, Chip Reederson, said he is no longer knighted. He is just Anthony at this point. I thought that was great. But, I mean, it's a shame, too, because Spencer Turnbull was great in his final start. I'm not sure how I feel about handing the keys to that spot back over to Tawan Walker. But I guess in looking at it big picture-wise, if things go south for Tawan Walker, at least Turnbull has gotten that experience and has shown he could carry the load as the 4th or the 5th starter. But it's a shame that Sir Anthony just has not been sharp. I feel like he's been not sharp for the past couple of years, going back to the World Series, if we're really thinking about it. But we'll see. They look to earn the split today at 1. Zach Wheeler's on the mound, the big gun. Hopefully they are able to do that, get a day off, or take the flight out to San Diego, I should say, the afternoon or evening off, and play the Padres this weekend. Trey Turner's stolen base streak was ended too as well, so good, like almost 3 years he went without being caught stealing, so might as well start another one, Trey. But looking to get that split out in Cincinnati. This is key for confidence, key for standings, but 7-4 Phil's loss, looking to go back at it today at 1. Also, we talked the other day about the first start or first ever Penn Relays earlier this week. The Penn Relays for this year officially start. Always a fun time, a sure sign of spring and the fact that school is almost over. That's always what I equated it with. So when we would take the bus trip down, it meant like we were winding down the school year, and then I would always get some good CDs outside Franklin Field too. For those of you old heads, know like the mixed DJ Clue CDs, like Penn Relays Day was where I stocked up and found out what like back then you didn't have the internet to look up and see what was coming out. So you'd buy those CDs, buy like 5 for like 25 or whatever they would sell them for there on the vendors, quote unquote, outside Franklin Field. But that's where you find out what the hot songs were going to be for the summer. So again, old school guys will know what I'm talking about. DJ Clue. And as of right now, you heard me say DJ Clue the same way that I was thinking it in my head. But Penn Relays kick off today. All right, today, it's a very, very special day. And we're going to go back to 1978. And on this day in 1978, the Phillies beat the Cubs 7-0. Jim Cott pitched a complete Game 3 hitter. He had 5 Ks, only walked 1. Larry Bowen went 3 for 4. Schmitty went 2 for 5. The Bull, Greg Luzinski, went 2 for 3, but none of that mattered. And here's why. The big story, even though I could not find anything in the newspaper because I don't know if they thought it was a big story at the day, all things considering on what preceded him. But this was the actual, everybody, they always have the Phillie Phanatic's birthday at Citizens Bank Park, but today is the actual birthday of the Phillie Phanatic. He made his debut on this day in 1978. Earlier that day, he was formally introduced along with Tim McCarver, who was Steve Carlton's personal catcher. Tim McCarver served as the Phanatic spokesman on Captain Noah and his Magical Ark TV show. If you grew up in this area, you certainly know who Captain Noah is. I read a stat for Captain Noah that in the Philadelphia area, he actually outdrew Captain Kangaroo, who I was also a fan of, and Sesame Street. That's how big he was in the Philadelphia area. So why not get the Phillie Phanatic his big unveiling on Captain Noah? And the Phillie Phanatic is the brainchild of Dennis Lehman, who was the director of marketing, and Frank Sullivan, who is the promotions director, as well as Bill Giles, who is an absolute legend in the Phillies. Lehman and Sullivan said, hey, we need a mascot to compete with the San Diego Chicken, who was the mascot at the time. And if you know the San Diego Chicken, he is basically a chicken. Google him for you younger folks if you don't know who he is. Bill Giles said, you're right, we need a mascot to kind of help attract families to come to the vet. The team was getting good, and Philadelphia Phil and Phyllis, who we replaced, I guess they did their jobs, but it just never caught on with fans. I mean, and now you got the Phanatic, who is the absolute GOAT. He was designed by Jim Henson's corporation, so he has a Muppet-like appearance. Originally, he was played by Dave Raymond. Now he is played by Tom Burgoyne, who still claims to this day that he does not play the Phanatic. He is just the Phanatic's best friend. But either way, there is no one better than the Phillie Phanatic. I mean, when you're starting the mascot list, you have the Phillie Phanatic, and then it's everyone else. Like I would put the Phanatic up over Mickey Mouse at this point. That's how much the Phillie Phanatic means in Philadelphia. And now I'm just spitting out completely ridiculous hot takes. But hey, we have these days. But he's often imitated, never duplicated. He is a Hall of Famer. And one little stat that I thought was hilarious, he's also the most sued mascot ever, which is kind of funny. I guess people get hurt going around him. I don't know, but for my money, nobody does it better than the Phanatic. I did have the opportunity to meet the Phanatic when I was younger. It was when Tom Burgoyne first really took over. This was probably would have been 94-ish, 95-ish. I was working at a grocery store around my house, and they had part of the promotion. I believe it was probably either Hers chips or Hatfield hot dogs, but the Phanatic came to the store for a couple hours. And in the store, we had a nursery, and it's where you could basically drop your kids off while you go. It was the greatest thing ever. You drop your kids off and do your grocery shopping so your kids aren't bugging you. Well, we had to make sure all the walls of the nursery, even the one that led to like our office, nobody could see him without his head on. I was a cashier at the time, so the Phillie Phanatic was my personal bagger. Just a lot of fun, and I did get to meet Burgoyne, his best friend, who had some great Phillies stories. And I was like, at that point, 15 years old, 16 years old, but pretty cool to actually meet Tom Burgoyne back then and have the Phanatic bag the groceries as I was checking them through. So there's my Phanatic story. But on this day, back in 1978, it's a very special day. The Phillies beat the Cubs, but the big story was the Phillie Phanatic made his debut at the Vet in that game, and then earlier in the day was formally introduced as the Phillies mascot on Captain Noah's magical ark. And if you know, you know. All right, finally today, the Philly sports team with unfinished business. We're going to go from being high on the Phanatic to down on this one. It's the 2001 through 2004 Eagles. And I don't even know where to begin. This was the Andy Reid Donovan era, and I could do a 12-part, 1 hour long series minimum on this team, but for the sake of time and your sanity and your frustration level, because this is a good day. It's Sixers Game 3 day, so I don't want to bring it down too much. But 2001 is when they really made that leap and went to the NFC Championship game, lost to the greatest show on turf. They had a lead in that game. They were right there in it, and who knows if they win that game and they play the Patriots in the Super Bowl, maybe the trajectory of Donovan McNabb and Tom Brady go differently. I mean, it's worth noting. I know a lot of people, because that was after 9/11, said, oh, it was fixed because of the Patriots. But had the Eagles been able to beat the Rams, and if you believe in conspiracies, what better team to win the Super Bowl than the bald eagle, the symbol of strength for our country and the city that it all started? I mean, Boston, Philly. I'm just saying, if you believe in the conspiracy theories. But hopes were high going into 2002, and to me, this was the year. That Tampa Bay game still haunts me. I still have nightmares of it. And typical, the way that the Vet closed, no worse than the way it started. But no doubt in my mind, if they win that game, they beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Sorry, Kenny. It's just a fact. They would have beaten the Raiders that year in the Super Bowl. And then by 2003, it was a joke. Like, nobody could beat the Eagles in the NFC except for whoever played them in the NFC Championship game. That was the year McNabb got hurt. They would have had the rematch against the Patriots, or could have had back-to-back against the Patriots. And then the Super Bowl, I still say for the Eagles, that was their Super Bowl was getting to past the NFC Championship game. And then they just never got, they got back to the NFC Championship game in 2008, but this was, man, and we saw what Andy was able to do, and it's a shame he could not put it together with Donovan while he was here. Lots of meat left on the bone for those four teams. Four teams. They just, man, it still pains me to this day that they could not get one Super Bowl with Andy and Donovan while they were here. But that's why today's Philly sports team with unfinished business, who left a shitload of meat on the bone, are the 2001 through 2004 Eagles. On this day in 1978, the Phillies beat the Cubs. The Phillie Phanatic made his debut on the Captain Noah's Magical Ark show, and then that night he did his thing down at the Vet. Penn relays start today. Good luck to all the runners, high school, collegiate, and professional. Welcome to Philly, Lynn Greer. Phillies, let's go get some run support for Zach Wheeler and just get out of Cincinnati with a split. But who do you think the Eagles are going to draft? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Let me know what your picks are for Game 3 tonight. I'm telling you, I'm sensing blowout. Let's do it. It's time. It's time. Let's worry about Sunday's game. Let's blow them out tonight. Get Joe on the bench going into the fourth quarter, and we'll just go from there. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Go have yourselves a Thursday. Go Sixers. And until next time, I'll see you.